So hello and welcome to another segment of Elder Abuse Awareness Virtual Coalition. My name is Elisa Gwilliam, and today I have the pleasure to be talking to Director of the Orange County Office for the Aging, Anne-Marie Maglione, Professor of Psychology and Director of Center and Aging Disability Policy at Mount St. Mary College, Dr. Larry Forbes. And our special guest today is the Director of Orange County's Veterans Service Agency, Christian Farrell, and MHA in Orange County Vet to Vet program, Larry Neumann. So welcome. Larry, do you want to get us started today?
I will, thank you. And Alyssa, thank you so much for, moderating this, connecting all the dots along with Danielle. And let's be clear, we're here because of the support and the acknowledgement from Orange County, Steve Newhouse, Anne-Marie Maglione, who I'll introduce in a minute, but that's why we're here. As Alyssa said, my name is Dr. Larry Force, and I'm a professor of psychology at Mount St. Mary College, and I am a director of a Center on Aging and Disability Policy with my dear friend, Dr. Jeffrey Kahana. So we're moving along, and we're developing relationships with Orange County for a number of years. We collaborate on the conference. We have a great turnout of over 500 people about 3 years ago, but now we're living in a new upside down world. And we had no idea, we had no way of assembling people. And we came together collaboratively, creatively, and we launched Elder Abuse Awareness Virtual Coalition. This is our second season. And again, it's because of the support of Steve Newhouse in Orange County that we can say this is our second season. The focus is on three specific areas: veterans, patients in nursing homes, and families with special needs. And today we are so honored and so grateful, not only for your service, but for your presence here, okay? Because of the fact that you two are tremendous representatives of the message that we want to get out today. So with that, I'd like to introduce Anne-Marie Maglione, dear friend and colleague, Director of the County Office for Aging in Orange County.
Thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be part of this coalition that really is protecting older adults and helping them have the best quality of life that they can. We all know that elder abuse takes various forms, and oftentimes it's family members that are behind this. It's a difficult, uncomfortable topic to talk about, but yet it's an important one because we really believe that education and awareness is the only way that we're going to eradicate this. And of course, trying to eradicate something during a pandemic is very difficult because what do? We're asking people to isolate. And what is one of the things that fuels abuse is isolation when it's, a dark, dirty secret. So bringing it out here is the way to do it. I'm proud of what we're doing. We're getting so many responses. We're on Facebook. People are saying that this is really helpful. And as Dr. Force said, we're now doing, specific topics. And what better time to talk about the veterans than, 2 days before Veterans Day? And what better way and better people to be our guests than our two experts in Orange County, Christian Farrell and Larry Neumann. And by the way, I reiterate Dr. Forrest in saying thank you for your service. So at this time, I would love to, I'm going to start with Christian. Christian, I would love to talk to you about, what you see and what's the temperature and what's going on and how can we help with this particular area?
Well, thanks, Anne-Marie. Thanks, Doctor and Elisa for having me on. Certainly honored to be here as a veteran, as we discuss, elder abuse among veterans. Just to give you a little background about what I do on a day-to-day basis. I'm the Director of Veterans Services for Orange County. Each county in New York State has got a Veterans Service Agency. So here in Orange County, we have 22,000 veterans who call Orange County their home. My job is a number of different fronts. What our agency does is the backbone of what we do is we help veterans file claims through the VA or with the VA. We're not the VA, often mistaken to be part of the VA, but we're not. So we help veterans file claims with the VA. When you go into the service, if you're you're thought to be 100% physically, mentally, and if when you come out of the service, your time is done. If you're less than that, there's potentially a claim you can file, whether it's a loss of hearing, whether it's PTSD or something. If you can link that disability to your time in service, then or something you did in the service, then again, you could be compensated. So that's what we have counselors who are very good at what they do, and they help veterans file claims. So we do that. We we actually provide transportation for veterans from about 12 different locations in Orange County to the nearest VA hospital, which for us is over across the river in Dutchess County at Castle Point. So we do that free of charge. We also run a veterans food pantry out of the Montgomery ShopRite building, and we provide about 250 meals a week. We deliver right to the homes of veterans in Orange County. One other thing we do is we run a veteran cemetery, county veteran cemetery here in Goshen. And again, it's the busiest cemetery in the county. We'll have about 250 burials, unfortunately, this year for veterans who've passed away or the spouses of veterans who've passed away. And then the last thing that I do or is responsible for is something that Larry and I co-chair. Larry's really taking the lead on it, though, is the Hudson Valley Veterans Task Force, and that's really trying to help veterans or connect veterans to the resources out there when they're in need, especially homeless veterans or those on the verge of being homeless. So that's what we do. That's what I do. But getting back to what we're here all about is, elder abuse, and I would say that, as it's been mentioned, it's not something that's, I think, out in the open for sure, even with the veterans, and we certainly deal with that clientele, older veterans, it's an aging veterans population. Even I know that just because of those that we're unfortunately burying, it's the Vietnam veteran, it was World War II and still is to a certain degree, but limited, Korean War, and now certainly Vietnam veterans. But those veterans are, they're 70, in their 70s or late 60s. But so it's something that we see often, but you can't be ignorant to think that it doesn't exist. But even sometimes, knowing that veterans are sometimes recipients of money from the VA, which could be as much as more than $3,000 a month tax-free if you are 100% service-connected for something that happened in service. Those types of things, and whether veterans have access to all that funds or the money that they're it's truly dedicated for them, or people getting involved in unscrupulous ways and doing things, it's out there, but let's say again it is hidden, but I'm glad to be a part of it and to even open my eyes as to what to look for and how to recognize something that you might not see on the surface.
Thank you, and I agree. Christian and I work very closely together, as does we work with social services also and adult protective services. And I think you're spot on when you say you don't always see it, because that generation doesn't always like to talk about it, especially if it's So I will tell you, Christian has been wonderful. When my dad was living, and he helped my dad get some funds during his, he had some hearing loss in the military. So that's a little sidebar. Thank you for that. But, you have people that now all of a sudden dad's got $3,000 tax-free money, and you have, especially during COVID. So now you've got somebody that's got laid off. They've got to move in with mom and dad. They're maybe taking advantage of the money. They want them to stop it, but they certainly don't want their kids to get in trouble. So there's a lot of stress factors. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. And again, I think, the approach that we take in Orange County is it's a team approach. We have the DA helping us. We have the Sheriff's Office, certainly the county execs, Christian with veterans, adult protective services, and then Larry Neumann with Vet to Vet. So Larry, we're thrilled that you are in the county. What you do is you have a stellar reputation. I wonder if you would talk a little bit about your area.
Absolutely. And again, thank you all for having me on today. I really appreciate the opportunity. A lot of what we do is outreach. I want to first state by, saying, while we call it the Vet to Vet program, the actual formal name of the program is the PFC, Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Mentoring and Support Program. And that's what we're doing. We're very much a boots on the ground organization. PFC Joseph Dwyer was a young man who went into the Army a couple of days after the tragedy of 9/11. And in being so, he became a medic in the Army. And he was one of the first to return. He did a couple of tours in Iraq. And when he came back, he was severely affected by post-traumatic stress. And that led to his early death as a result of that post-traumatic stress. His family does not recognize his death as a suicide, although he did overdose due to self-medication. And so our program was formulated in a few counties within New York State in order to combat the, as we all know, 22 veteran suicides that occur in this nation on a daily basis. And so that's our mission. Now that our program has since grown to 25 counties out of the 62 in New York State, and we hope that it will continue to grow. We have a proven track record. And again, we're a boots on the ground organization. So we're out in the community. Orange County has 22,000 veterans within the county. And I feel it's my goal to meet each and every one of them and to get to know them, to assess their needs and see if there's a way our program can help. Now, being a boots on the ground organization, we typically encounter veterans who are at the crisis stage of their experience. And that could come in the form of many different things, including homelessness, joblessness, and again, elder abuse is one of the issues that we do sometimes encounter with the veterans that we serve. And so, you know, our job is to direct them to, you know, the programs and services that will best benefit them in addition to our own peer mentoring support. So as Christian had alluded to earlier, one of the things that we developed very early on, recognizing that we alone cannot solve every veteran problem that we encounter, we developed the Veteran Task Force. And that Veteran Task Force grew over time because many of the partnering agencies that we met along the way serve more than one county. So again, from 5 years ago to current, you know, we started with just a group of 4 people who would meet in a restaurant once a month to review the current homeless veteran cases. And now we have grown to over 350 members representing over 100 veteran service providers across 7 counties. We continue to meet monthly. We continue to review the veteran homeless cases that we encounter, as well as many other things. And it's just such a great opportunity for all of these veteran service providers to be involved, to do warm handoffs from one to another, and to ensure that a veteran is being served completely and thoroughly. So we're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish through the Veteran Task Force. Excuse me for just a minute. And so, you know, that's basically a summary. Again, we're boots on the ground, we're out in the community, and we're looking for veterans that we can help.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and I will tell you, you are a great resource because we have our New York Connects, which is our single point of entry. It's if you're 60 and older, you can give us a call. I'm going to give a little plug. It's 845-615-3710. You can call us on a variety of issues, but oftentimes we do get veteran-related things. So it's so nice to be able to have the resource to refer them to you, Larry, or to you, Christian, and that's a great thing. You know, they identify different types of elder abuses: financial, emotional, psychological, sexual, physical, and self-neglect. And I would think that there are some veterans that they kind of fall into the self-neglect area, which is a real issue. So it's nice to have the resources for you guys to help.
You know, and I'd like to build upon what Anne-Marie just said. I mean, what we know is that all behavior occurs within a family system. Now, the two of you represent organizations that are primarily there for the veteran. But the other thing that obviously you're there for is the family system. You know, Anne-Marie, you know, in this world of elder abuse and the discussions we've had, you know, we've had discussions and had presenters at our conference of the DA, the sheriff, the medical group, social workers, advocates. And one of the things that comes up is that this is a real it's a toxic issue. It's an issue that people really don't like talking about. And the other thing is that we know that when it comes to the older person, the older person of the family of the vet, you know, the conflict they have, because they may be, Anne-Marie mentioned about financial abuse. They may be being abused financially by a child or a grandchild. And their hesitancy to raise their hand and reach out is because they don't want that child or grandchild to be impacted by the implications of being arrested, you know, so they keep it to themselves. So then we talk about the value of community. We know in any type of arena, the individual typically gets better first, and then the family gets better slowly. So prior to us coming on, we were talking about the program that Alyssa's spearheading at our Hudson Valley Healing Center with a hyperbaric chamber for vets, which is available for all vets, for free, which is a way of addressing issues like PTSD. But the fact is, what about the families? I'd like to get a perspective from where you sit based upon your lived experience of some of the issues that you're dealing with that permeates through family systems as it addresses elder abuse. And elder abuse, as Anne-Marie said, is not always physical. You know, it could be financial, it could be self-neglect, it presents in so many different fashions. But Christian, maybe you could take the lead on answering that first, or addressing
Sure.
that.
Well, one thing, Dr. Force, I would say to everyone is that with the veterans, with this group of people we're talking about, like others, elder abuse maybe doesn't, it's hidden. We've spoken about that. But I think with veterans especially, Larry and I know this firsthand because of the work we do with the task force. This is a group of folks, men or women, who are almost, it's ingrained in them almost, to figure it out yourselves. You don't want to go forward when something like that has taken place. We deal with it all the time. Even with crisis situations, when someone's behind on their rent or facing eviction or whatever the crisis is, normally we're finding out about it, way late in the veteran has had. You don't want to go forward for whatever the issue you're dealing with. And I'm sure with this with elder abuse, the same problem exists as far as, a veteran especially is going to have a hard time going forward with that, maybe just like a civilian would be, but maybe even harder for a veteran. But getting back to the issue about the family, I mean, it is difficult because sometimes with veterans and maybe those who are suffering physically and emotionally, just the issues that poses to the family structure and how challenging that can be. I'm not so sure, how you address that other than, bringing in as many resources as you can and really trying to get the word out there that there is help, to veterans and their families and the whole family unit, by connecting them to Office of the Aging, just the different resources out there. But it's a challenge to get the word out there, the resources out there, and to get the veterans to come forward, knowing that what they may be going through is not right and needs to be addressed.
And Larry, what about from your perspective?
Well, it's very well known that families serve together, with their veteran, and one affects the other equally. So, if a veteran, and I'm very interested in this idea of self-neglect as a form of abuse, because in a way, of course, it is self-abuse. And the COVID crisis has created an environment where veterans have much more opportunity to isolate, which is one of the initial problems that a veteran can have. So, you know, if a veteran is isolating, oftentimes, and then of course the classic case is the veteran who returns from the Middle East, a young person, and goes back to mom and dad's house and goes into the basement and isolates there, does not socialize with friends that they had before they went into the military and things like this. So, you know, but there are many different examples across all eras of service and across all branches of service where, you know, the effects of the veteran have a direct effect on those of the family members, and vice versa. You know, the family members can have an effect on the veteran as well. So that's, you know, something that needs to be, again, as Christian had pointed out, you know, looked at, and programs and solutions made apparent to those who are suffering, and you know, urging them to seek the care and the support that they need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, the loneliness and isolation is huge, and I think everybody's battling it right now during COVID, because we're telling folks to stay home. I always say that the population that I serve, which is the 60 and over, are COVID fatigued. They're like, you know, I did it in the spring, I did it in the summer, I did what I was supposed to do. Please don't tell me I can't see my family for the holidays. Now we're coming into flu season, we're coming into the winter. I just don't know if I can still do it. So it's a challenge, and self-neglect is a big thing, because isolation, we know, and loneliness is like, it's actually, aside from being emotionally damaging, it's also physically damaging. It's the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So it's a physical thing too. You know, for us, this is very healthy for us to get this out there, to let people know, you know, you're not alone. There is a stigma there, but you're not alone. You can do this. But it's hard. It's really hard. You can blow your families up. And who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that, but they don't want to live the way they're living. And I know, Dr. Forrest, you can share, we had a couple of people talk just about that they did what was right, but they risked losing their families.
Right. I mean, look, when families work, they work. And when families don't work, they really don't work. And the fact is that, you know, if this was an emotional support group for the five of us, we could all talk about, you know, family stuff, because everybody has family stuff. You know, everybody has family currency, the way we do business, the way we engage with each other, the secrets in family systems, but every family has strengths too. And one of the things that I hear from both of you, and I was writing some notes as both of you were talking, is the main takeaway message is, we're here for you. Now, you both work and you both, you know, represent different agencies, different funding sources, different services, but the common theme is, we're here for you. The other common theme is no embarrassment, no shame, and everything's confidential. And I think the big takeaway underneath these conditions of COVID is that it's the veteran that can reach out to you. And from also what I'm hearing is that family systems can reach out to you about concerns about the veteran. Mm-hmm. And the two of you are knowledge-based guides. A lot of people, look, we're privileged, okay, because we understand networks and what's behind the curtain. There's a lot of people out there that have no idea that there's an existing network out there. They don't know how to access it. But the way to access it is one phone call away from the two of you. And then that opens up all other doors. Conversations with Anne-Marie, conversations with DSS, conversations with food, whatever. So I think that that's the real banner today, is that even under these conditions, both of you and your agencies are open for business, and you're here. So maybe you could talk, you know, just maybe reflect on that for a second, or comment on that.
And give contact information. That would be helpful.
Yes. Christian?
Okay. Yeah, so anyway, let me get it out there. The number for our office is area code 845-291-2470. That's the number to the Orange County Veterans Service Agency. So yeah, for anyone out, any veterans out there, or again, family of veterans who have some questions, have some concerns, certainly give my office a call, and we want to hear from you, and we're certainly willing to listen to what the problem perhaps that you're going through might be, and then we'll work together to try to connect you to overcome the situation that you're dealing with. But getting back to the family situation, one of the other challenges that the COVID situation has presented, I really think, is that so many of the veterans organizations, with their fellow, American Legion member that they might not even be sharing with their wife or their, because it's something personal they relate to. So the absence, so the void that's been created with those organizations not meeting for the last 6-7 months because of COVID, it's even more of a loss of family for these men and women. That is again the challenge that's presented, because there's an understanding caution that the veterans are not wanting to meet, or how can we do this safely? So how do we replace what has now been lost? And I've talked to veterans, because there's something in Orange County called the Orange County Veterans Coalition, where it's representatives from all of the veterans organizations in the county, from Port Jervis to Newburgh. Generally, they would meet once a month in the building I work in. And you would have 25, 30 guys or women coming and meeting to kind of disseminate information that's going on, veterans events in the county. But that's not happening, or hasn't happened since March. So I've talked to some of the, folks over the phone, and there's a wanting to get it back and running, but they also know that there's a lot of people who's going to show up under these conditions, and there's still caution out there. So that is, I think we haven't solved that. We're still working on trying to figure out how we can kind of reconnect everybody, so this isolation doesn't go on, continue to go on, because that's, it only makes the situation worse. So it's an ongoing situation, but certainly, we want to be part of the solution.
And I think look, the two of you being here today, you need to hear this clearly, the impact that it does have. I mean, we started off, we were thinking we were doing local, then it became statewide, now it's national. So your voice is being heard across many different arenas. Larry, a comment about that as far as, open for business, way to contact you?
Absolutely. I can be reached at 845-342-2400. And if I'm not in my office, of course, please leave a message. I do get called away quite a bit. I would also direct our veterans and family members to the Orange County Vet to Vet Facebook page. I'm posting on there daily information about events, activities, different program offerings that we have. And I certainly encourage all of our veterans to use that as an information source for what's happening and to get connected with veteran services throughout the county. And I'll also give a plug for the Hudson Valley Veterans Task Force. Again, we have our own webpage, which is hudsonvalleyvets.org. And there you can see our meeting minutes, our agendas. There's a calendar of activities there, posting whatever is going on. And also soon to come it's currently being worked on, is a resource database, so that all of those 360 members that I spoke about earlier and those 100 veteran service programs can be accessed and researched through that function on that website. So we're looking forward to that. Additionally, as I had stated at the beginning, we all often encounter veterans who are in crisis as a result of our program. And I just want to make everybody aware of the Orange County Crisis Call Center. That number is 311. And we encourage people who are having difficulties and are in crisis to call that number. There are people standing by 24/7 to help and refer to programs and services like ours.
And, I want to say this before I turn it back to Anne Marie, as you're both talking, like, people are learning about your services. what I want you both to know is that we're a phone call away through our Center of Aging and Disability Policy at Mount St. Mary College. You know, you're talking about creating databases and stuff like that. I'm surrounded by wizards, AKA students, that really know how to do that. So if we can be a part of the solution, as you talked about, please don't hesitate to call us.
I have your number.
Please, that's wonderful. And Anne-Marie, before I give it back to you, applause for you. And I'm not just saying this because you're here, because I've told you this privately and I've said this publicly. Dr. Kahana and I, a number of years ago, ended up getting an NIH grant to take a look at the AAAs, the Area Agencies on Aging nationwide. You have no idea how much you should be acknowledged and applauded, I think you do, about what you've done. I mean, you've created a seamless system. You know, it's not like you don't know who the other agencies are, and it's not like they don't know who you and your organization is. So to your credit, you know, please, please know how much that's appreciated, because you really are a star at this. I'd like to turn it back to you as we then turn it over to Alyssa for final comment.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. It's easy when you have good partners, and Mount St. Mary and Dr. Kahana and Dr. Forrest, you've been incredible. And when I met Alyssa, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. You know, I'm really blessed to be working with and partnering with some really strong partners. Christian Farrell, there's nobody better. I encourage everybody to go to Craigville Road in Goshen and look at the beautiful, beautiful cemetery out there. You walk in and it's just dignified, and there's grace and respect, and that's exactly what we need to provide to our veterans. And sadly, I don't think that always happens everywhere. And Larry Neumann, to have you as a resource, because as I will say with Christian, Larry, and myself, more than likely when we get a call, they're in crisis. Now, whether it's a true crisis or a perceived crisis, it's a crisis to them. So we have to dignify it and take care of it that way, and to have the resources to be able to do that. And not everybody knows that the resources are out there. So things like this really help to bring awareness to people, and to have Christian and Larry who have walked in people's shoes. So, you know, I can talk to a veteran, and my dad was a veteran, but I wasn't out there. I don't know what it's like, but to talk to Christian and Larry who have been there and know, it makes a world of difference. So it's such an important topic, but it's really wonderful in our county to be able to have the resources when you hear something that happens, and when someone has the courage and the strength to say, hey, can you help me out? To not say, gee, we can't help you, we don't know what to do. We have really strong resources. So I'm really proud to be part of this. And I tell everybody, please, on Wednesday, thank a veteran, because we have our life that we appreciate and we value because of veterans. And again, I want to say happy veterans to both of you two, and thank you for the service that you've done.
Absolutely.
Anne-Marie.
So Alyssa?
Yeah, well, you're not alone. And if you need to reach out, utilize one of the numbers that we talked about today, or call New York Connects at 845-615-3710. So you've been listening to Elder Abuse Awareness Virtual Coalition, and we're just very thankful that you were able to get some information today as we begin to celebrate Veterans Day. Until next time.